Hello, folks. Welcome to the PTI Nice Daily Show. Happy Thursday morning to you all there. Happy to have you here this morning on the Daily Show, brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. My name is Alan. I'm happy to be here today serving as your host. Currently have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating Officer for the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I'm a faculty member in our fitness athlete division. Here on Leadership Thursdays, we talk all things business, management, practice ownership. It's Leadership Thursday, which means it's also Gut Check Thursday. So this week's Gut Check comes from the one and only Dustin Jones, one of our modern management, the older adult faculty members. He sent me this week's gut check. It is 15, 12, 9, 6, 3 of power cleans with a weight prescribed of 135 for gentlemen and 95 for ladies, paired with bar-facing burpees. So very redundant couplet there, taxing the posterior chain, taxing the power system. So as you do more cleans, the burpees are going to feel worse. As you do more burpees, the cleans are going to feel worse. But on the nice end with that descending rep scheme. So goal time there is still about 10 minutes, especially if you are a stronger athlete and you can do big chunks of those cleans as touch and go. So have fun with that workout. We got next week's planned as well. If you have a suggestion for Gut Check Thursday, I would love to hear it. I'm happy to take viewer submissions and whip those up for Gut Check Thursday. Keep in mind, we try to keep them relatively low skill, approachable from an equipment perspective, and then we try to keep the time domain around 10-ish minutes. But if you hit a particular workout that you found particularly disgusting that meets those qualifications, please by all means send it my way, and I'll be happy to whip it up for Gut Check Thursday and share the suffering. Announcement-wise for ICE, not much for you all coming up. We are done with live courses for the year. So we have extremity management this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, with Lindsay Huey out in Denver, Colorado. But that course has been full now for a couple of months. So you can't get into that course. And then we have one more live course at the beginning of December out in Oakland, California. But that will be a private course closed to the public with our modern management of the older adult crew. So as far as live courses go, we are pretty much done for the year. Check out ptinice.com and go to the Our Courses button to check out where we're going to be at. We're going to be in a lot of places. We have about 100 courses on the books already for 2022. If you're interested in hosting a course, you can usually get a free course or a very, very, very reduced course based on your clinic size if you host us. So a lot of times we get questions about how can I get a discounted course? We really don't offer discounts. The best way to lower the dollar cost of a course is going to be using one of our hosting options. So we have a host a course button on the website as well. So check that out if you are interested in hosting us. You'll probably find that you have what we need to host and that we are indeed interested in coming to your area and teaching. So reach out to us, use that host a course page to find out how you can host a course and what it might cost you. Online courses, we have one more starting before the end of the year. It's going to be Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations with myself, Mitch Babcock, Kelly Benfee, and Guillermo Contreras. That is going to start December 6th. That course is already close to being single digits left. So if you're looking to get into that course before the end of the year, December 6th is going to be your last chance. And then we're really going to reduce the volume that we teach that course. That course we're going to teach about once a quarter moving forward. So we used to teach it every 8 weeks, about 6 to 7 times a year. We're not going to be teaching at that volume anymore. So your next chance to catch that course won't be until the middle of March of 2022. So if you've been eyeing that course, December is your chance to jump in before the next couple of months roll by. So that is what's coming your way from ICE. Oh, one more thing. The ICE opportunity is still open. It will close the Sunday after Thanksgiving, which is going to be November 28th, I believe, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So a week from this coming Sunday. That is 2 years of free ICE courses for anybody who considers themselves Black, Indigenous, or otherwise person of color, if you fall into that BIPOC category. There's an application for you to submit. We're going to read them over the next couple weeks and pick a couple of winners by the middle of December. Last year we picked 4. Right now we only have, I believe, 10 applications total, so your chances of getting selected are quite high. If you don't qualify for any of those categories, if you don't consider yourself one of those persons of color, that's okay. Maybe you know somebody that does. Maybe a coworker, a friend, a former student, a former clinical instructor, a professor, something like that. So if you know somebody that does qualify, please, there's a nomination form on the ICE website. If you go to the upper right corner, click the drop down and click diversify, there's the application for those that qualify, and then there's the nomination form if you know somebody that qualifies but hasn't heard about it yet. So we'll send them the application, let them know they've been nominated, and get them on the books for a chance to be selected. So make sure you're all tracking the ICE opportunity going forward. Okay. Enough announcements. Let's get into today's topic. Leadership Thursday, we're going to talk about the evidence supporting paying well. And I'm going to preface this episode. I know some of you listen in the car, taking the kids to school. I know some of you have told me that you listen to us while you are working with patients in the clinic. This episode I'm very passionate about. I can't promise that I won't say a swear word, so if that is going to offend you or maybe offend somebody near you as you're listening, then please take a moment, pause this episode, circle back to it later when that person who may not be offended by swearing is not in the room with you. So we're talking about a paper that was published that really hammers home literally the objective, quantifiable data and evidence supporting what happens when you do not pay your people well enough. So this is a hefty paper. I believe it's something like almost 50 pages from the Journal of Marketing. It came out at the end of this summer. And if you're wondering what kind of giant nerd reads the Journal of Marketing, well, you found him. Here I am. So this is a great paper. The title is Wage Inequality, Its Impact on Customer Satisfaction and Firm Performance, from the August 2021 issue of the Journal of Marketing from the American Marketing Association. I love this paper. They did a really good job, I think, with the methods. They did a really good job about keeping it objective. A lot of papers on wage inequality and pay are subjective, and it's hard to extrapolate that information to another business or even an entire industry. But the authors here did a really good job with how they conducted this study. They actually did a couple of different studies inside of the scope of this whole paper, and they did a really good job. Why I love this paper is it really tracks down all of the side effects of paying people poorly that can be tracked, that can be measured, that impact long-term business performance up into including the business going bankrupt. So I'm going to read verbatim a little bit from this paper, and then we'll get into some discussion points. Looking at what is wage inequality. Wage inequality is when anybody that can be classified as a supervisor or a manager or ownership or executive board members, that sort of stuff of a company, what is the difference in their pay versus the average pay of all the employees in the company? And finding that the pay for those folks in supervisory roles since 1978 has increased 940%. So almost 1,000% increase in wages compared to the average increase of all the employees in a company has only increased 12% since 1978. So a giant increase in wage inequality across the country. And now getting into some of kind of the theory behind why the authors think this matters. What does this actually turn into on the back end if we pay people poorly? What is happening in the company? We have a couple of different areas we're looking at. We're looking at indirect effects on company performance through a customer-directed effect. And this is working with the customer, having more frequent customer interactions. What this translates to in physical therapy is if you don't feel like you're paid well, you're much less likely to reach out to that patient and reschedule that visit they canceled. You're much less likely to text that patient the day after their first visit and say, "Hey, Susan, it's Alan here. I'm just seeing how you're feeling after our session yesterday. You know, you came in with 7 out of 10 back pain. We cleared up a lot of your back pain. You left with 2 out of 10 back pain. You left with some exercises to try in the evening and this morning. And I'm just touching base to see how you're feeling after our first visit." And the author's evidence for why this matters is that the more frequent touch points we have with customers, the greater their satisfaction, the more they return to our business and spend their money with us. So we want our employees to have more frequent customer touch points. And what happens when we don't pay our people enough is they stop caring about that. They just come to work, they do the bare minimum to not have you yell at them, and they go home. Those touch points fall off. Customer confidence, customer satisfaction drops. So that's the first area. Indirect effect through customer-directed efforts. We have a second category here, indirect effect through customer-directed opportunism. And so this is reaching out with those touch points and trying to sell, basically, right? Trying to reach out and sell people on more products, additional products, services, follow-ups, that sort of stuff. And what do we find when we pay people well? They reach out in a positive way at the expense of themselves to make those touch points to offer greater services. So again, maybe that's me texting Susan in the morning after a visit and she says, ooh, you know what? I was a little bit more sore than I thought I would be. Maybe that's me now in this customer-directed opportunism saying, you know what, Susan, I'm going to rewrite your home program on this whiteboard. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to snap a picture and send it back to you. And that touch point that gives that patient an additional service, again, that goes to improve customer confidence, customer satisfaction, customer return business. What happens when we don't pay our people well? Employees behave opportunistically towards customers by withholding or intentionally distorting information, cheating, or engaging in other subtle forms of dishonesty to get that patient back. So this is that allied healthcare provider that says, I think your calcium is deficient, which is why your shoulder flexion manual muscle test is a 4, not a 5. And if you buy this supplement from this multi-level marketing company that I'm a part of, then I think that would make your shoulder a little bit stronger and feel better. So we can have impacts on our long-term performance in business with customer-directed opportunism in the negative way. And we also see outright cheating and lying. The example in this paper is back in 2016. Some of you may remember Wells Fargo got in a lot of legal trouble for all of their employees, or a lot of their employees having quotas of opening so many checking accounts a month. And what they were doing was taking people who already had a checking account, opening a second checking account in their name, and then closing it to say that they met their quota of opening checking accounts. And they got in trouble because customers started to notice when you open a checking account, it charges you $1 just for the banking computer software to know that your account is open. And they got in trouble that way. And the government found out and customers found out, and they got in a lot of trouble. They lost, I believe, close to $100 million in that lawsuit for opening up those fraudulent checking accounts. Now, what does that translate to in physical therapy? Well, we know this all too well, don't we, right? This is the overbilling of units to put more money in my pocket, right? When you tell me I have to bill X amount of units, or I have to see Y amount of visits a week to maintain my base pay, or to get this bonus that makes my base pay something that I can actually get ahead with financially, what am I going to do? Well, if I'm not paid well, I might lie and cheat, right? I might have a 5-unit visit when it was a 3-unit visit. I might have a 4-unit visit when it was a 2-unit visit. I might bill that patient who actually rescheduled their appointment or canceled or didn't show up. I might still bill that patient 4 units because I know how important it is for me to meet those quotas that you have put on me. So again, this paper really showing that kind of business really has a big long-term negative impact on long-term growth on your business. And then finally, the third category that we worry about is indirect effects on business through customer-oriented culture. And just finding that the less we pay people and the more we put these benchmarks on their pay and kind of this gatekeeping on their pay, that employees become more concerned with their own promotion prospects, their own quota fulfillment than their coworkers. We see an overall lack of connectedness and trusting, and a lack of collaboration between coworkers and superiors. What does this translate to in physical therapy? Physical therapy, we're very comfortable with co-treating patients, right? We might have somebody work on a patient with us because maybe we're a little bit lost and get a second pair of eyes on something. And oftentimes in physical therapy, we don't worry about who's getting paid for that because usually we're getting paid a salary, and we don't often think of asking for a co-treat from who's going to get these units or who's going to get this visit. But I could easily see how this could go wrong. I'm thinking of about a month ago, I asked our wonderful therapist, Joe, in here to co-treat a runner with me. I'm not as versed in treating the runner as I would like to be. And I was missing something with the patient, not getting better after a couple of visits. And I said, will you please co-treat this patient with me? And now how we pay here is we pay by the visit. So I knew that I was taking up an hour of her time, and that the best thing for her to make her feel like she got that hour's worth of time was to just give her the money from that visit, right? I was interested in the collaboration. I was interested in getting her thoughts as an expertise in treating the runner and getting the patient better, and not in what either of us was going to get paid. And I think that goes a long way to keeping that collaborative culture that we tend to have in physical therapy, that is kind of slowly eroding as we become more and more focused on the dollar sign behind each patient, viewing a patient with a dollar sign on their forehead instead of a person who's not getting better with their knee pain, who's not going to be coming here for physical therapy too much longer if we can't fix that knee pain. And that's going to result in long-term financial impact on our business, much more so than me worried about getting the $60 a visit I would get if I kept seeing her on my own and not getting her better. So keeping in mind that we can have an indirect effect on our own employees interacting with each other when we don't pay too well. And so getting into the nuts and bolts of the study, sorry, I'm probably going to run a little bit over. What they did was they did a number of different surveys across a number of different companies, companies that were listed on the German stock index called the German Prime Standard, the S&P 500 here in America, and then the United Kingdom, the Financial Times Stock Exchange. So looking at companies, publicly traded companies from America, United Kingdom, and Germany, and looking at a large range of company sizes, which again, I really appreciate the time and effort that went into the methodology behind the study. They looked at companies ranging from a couple dozen employees to a couple hundred to a couple thousand to companies with tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of employees. So very small businesses all the way to giant international global corporations. They sent surveys to supervisors, managers, chief marketing officers, chief operating officers, all the folks in a business who would kind of know some of this data, and they wanted to know information about pay. They looked at a number of different variables. They wanted to know information about pay. They wanted to know information about what they labeled as misbehaviors, things like embezzlement, things like stealing property, that sort of stuff. And they also looked at customer satisfaction. They looked at long-term return on investment. They looked at employee growth rate. And they looked at overall growth in the industry compared to similar companies also traded on the same stock index. So looking at how are these companies doing over time compared to other companies of similar size and business, satisfaction with the customers, satisfaction with the employees, and the wage inequality differences. And conclusions here are quite obvious to anybody who has maybe been running a business for any length of time, that finding the impact of wage inequality on customer-directed opportunism and customer-oriented culture directly translated into overall reduced customer satisfaction. Finding that also employee misbehaviors, again, theft of property, theft of money, fraudulent billing, the dishonesty we talked about previously with marketing things to clients, all were worse in companies that had higher wage inequalities. As the wage gap increased, these misbehaviors got worse, customer satisfaction went down, long-term growth went down compared to other companies, employee satisfaction went down, employee turnover went up, and overall the businesses, the higher the wage inequality, the less likely they were to perform long-term profit-wise, and in some cases go out of business before they could report more data for the study. So some of these businesses straight up don't exist at the end of the study that existed at the start of the study because they paid their employees so poorly. So this is a really fascinating study to me. It kind of shows empirically why we need to be working on paying folks better. To me, it shows kind of what we've been saying on this particular day of the week for quite some time, of not only working towards paying your people more, but if you're on the other end, if you're the person being paid, make sure that you understand what you're being paid relative to those around you, relative to those in management positions. A good example from this paper was talking about Disney Corporation having a wage inequality of almost 1,700%, with the CEO of Disney making $65 million and the average salary of employees across Disney being $46,000 a year, and saying it would take the average employee 1,500 years to make the same amount of money that the CEO made in one single year. So a drastic example of wage inequality, but we see this in physical therapy. We see those of you all out there accepting a job for $60,000 a year when you're generating $300,000 to $500,000 of revenue for the company, and maybe you work for a big corporate chain where the CEO is making millions of dollars. So you are involved in this wage inequality part of the equation, even if you don't want to be. So educate yourself. Reach out if you don't know. Make sure you're getting paid well for your time. Make sure you know what is being taken from you for the company. And for those of you on the other side of the equation in the supervisor role, I hope this sheds some light on why we harp on this so much. Jeff and I are big proponents here of financial transparency at ICE. We're big fans of it here at our clinic, Health HQ, and making sure that wage inequality is not high at all. And it's about playing the long-term game. I think what we see a lot in physical therapy, especially with bigger chains, is the chase for short-term profit. It's certainly what all the advertisements out there, all of those stupid-ass mentorship groups that promise you if you join this group for $10,000, you can have 100 patients, 100 new evals every month, and you can probably make a lot of money in a short amount of time chasing that short-term profit. But believe me, you will affect your long-term growth. You will have high employee turnover. You will slowly erode all the profit you make in the short term, in the long term, if you don't turn around and give that money back to your folks. Believe me, it is so much better to take the 10-year approach to business building, to say, if I can make a couple $1,000s a year off of each employee, that's not going to buy me a yacht. It's not going to buy me a cabin. But if I can grow a business to 10 employees, 25 employees, 50, 100, then all of a sudden $2,000 or $3,000 profit from each employee suddenly becomes an amount of money that can eventually build in kind of a bouldering effect to be quite a substantial amount of money, all without robbing that person that's actually doing the work. And that's something we have to remember, is that the frontline soldier in physical therapy is the staff clinician getting the patients better, billing the units, swiping the card, whatever you're doing. That is the person who's doing the lion's share of the work, and that is the person who should be getting the lion's share of the revenue. And I will absolutely die before I change my opinion on that. You will never change my mind on that topic. So this is an interesting paper. If you'd like the link, again, it's quite beefy, it's quite nerdy, but if you nerd out on this stuff like I do, I'm happy to share the link to this for you, and just give it some thought. Whether you're on one side of the equation or another, give it some thought of all the things that go wrong in companies as that wage inequality increases. And this isn't just my opinion to you. This is now empirical, objective evidence that we have, and more of this stuff is going to continue to come out over time, not less, because it's an issue across all industries, not just physical therapy. But make sure no matter what part of the equation you're on, you're doing something to help move us forward on this perspective, whether it's you, the staff clinician, doing your homework and shopping around and not just saying yes to a low-paying job, or it's you, the owner, the clinic manager that's fighting for your people to get some more bucks every year. Remember, inflation is a thing. Inflation next year is projected to be close to 6%. That means if you're not getting a 6% raise on January 1st, you are getting a 6% pay cut. For God's sake, stand up for yourself. Don't let yourself get steamrolled. If you haven't got a pay raise in a couple years, you are many percent behind in a pay cut. So make sure you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, please, by all means, reach out for help and go into those interviews armed with a little bit more information and secure yourself the pay that you deserve and that you need. So questions about this discussion, would love to see comments. For those of you joining us in Essential Foundations in a couple weeks, we're looking forward to having you and working with you over the holiday season. Other than that, I'll see you all next week. Have a great Thursday. Have fun with Gut Check. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptionice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.